दस्या ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांधा राधा कांधा नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So let's get started. Chapter 12. Thank you for coming, everyone. I am very thankful to all of you. So very nice chapter. One of the small chapters, but very filled with bhakti. The chapter name only is Bhakti Yoga Devotional Service, chapter number 12. So let's pay our obeisances to the object of our worship and our devotion, Shri Radha Govinda. You know, the pujari is from Mayapur, so he decorates the deities as you will see similarities between their devotion, their dressing, and the dressing of Radha Madhav in Mayapur is so similar. Krishna in Mayapur also dresses like this because the pujari is from there. That is the power of a devotee. A devotee can decide what will Krishna wear and how will he look. Of course, we have to follow the regulations, but there are some space for expressing oneself in worshipping Krishna. This is what we did yesterday, universal form. Arjuna requests Krishna to show his universal form. We discussed several reasons why is Arjuna requesting it now. And then Krishna describes the universal form, gives him the vision to look at the universal form. Then Arjuna tells his observation of the universal form. Then Arjuna shares his experience after seeing the universal form. And then he asks Krishna, who are you? Because he can't even remember who this universal form is, because the Krishna that he is friends with is completely different from this universal form. Krishna replies, I am time I am, Kalo Asmi. Arjuna prays. I apologize. Arjuna prays to the universal form and then requests Krishna to wind up the universal form, show his four-handed form, and then show his two-handed form. And then Krishna says that no one before you has ever seen this form. And the form that you're seeing now is also very difficult to behold. Why Arjuna is able to see? Because he's situated in pure bhakti. Okay, this is what is today. Bhakti over impersonalism. I'll bring this slide again at the end. Progressive stages of devotion. These progressive stages of devotion will open our eyes that how accommodating Krishna is to everyone and qualities that endear one to Krishna. Okay, is Vibha here today? I think she is. Vibha, you can chant.
Yes, Mataji. Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satatayuktaye Bhaktastvam Paryupasate Yecha Pi Aksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittama.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vibha. Arjuna inquired, which is considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in your devotional service Yes, please raise your hand. What is it more near to? Gayatri Mataji? Or if you can't raise your hand, you can write it also. What is it more near to?
Uh,
Yes, Mataji.
uh, the second one, Mataji, which one is it?
Brahman form or the impersonal form or personal two-handed form? The universal.
Personal.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Anybody else? Yes, Swati Mataji. Yes, what is it more near to? What do you think?
Universal form, ma'am. Mataji.
Is more near to what? Is it more
Universal.
near? Mataji, the question is universal form is more near to the personal form of Krishna or to impersonal form, impersonal
Personal
manifestation?
form.
Okay, thank you. So universal form is more near to impersonal conception of Krishna, not personal. Personal form is this 200 form bedecked with peacock feather, bluish, blackish in color. Okay, but universal form is not a form. It is not a form as such. It is a concept. I think I said that yesterday. Universal form of Krishna is a concept where Krishna's head is compared to upper planetary system, his belly is compared to middle planetary system, I'm sorry, to lower planetary system, where all the demigods are situated in that form, all living entities are situated in that form. Okay, that's a concept. It's not really a form. So universal form is more near to impersonal concept of impersonal manifestation or Brahman Jyoti. So Arjuna is attached to personal form of Krishna, the 200 form of Krishna. So he just wants to make sure that his attachment is proper. Okay, so he's asking this question, which is considered to be more perfect. He just wants to secure his position. Those who are properly engaged in your devotion service or those who worship impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. Now let's say what Krishna says. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Mai Aveshya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayo Petas Te Me Yuktatmata Mataha. The blessed Lord said, he whose mind is fixed on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be most perfect. So he whose mind is fixed on my personal form, Krishna says that person whose mind is fixed on my personal form and is engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith is considered to me to be most perfect. Krishna is not saying that person who is situated in impersonal liberation or Brahman Jyoti or merging in the light is not perfect. Is somewhere in the spiritual journey but hasn't achieved perfection yet. But whereas a devotee engaged in worshipping Krishna in his personal form is most perfect. This is Krishna's verdict. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, which is Brahman Jyoti, that lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone. Such persons at last engaged in the welfare of such person engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. So at last, that person who is looking for Brahman Jyoti also has a journey to travel so that they can also achieve Krishna in his personal form at last. So why not just better go to the personal form, worship the personal form? Why to take trouble of going into the Brahman Jyoti? Klesho adhikaras tesham avyaktasakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham deha vadbir avapyate. So for those whose minds are attached to unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So we are in the bodily concept of life, and we are right now in concept of life that I am this body. Soul also has a body, but soul has a spiritual body. So it is very difficult to just try to serve a light. Can't do. That's what Krishna is saying. Advancement is very, very troublesome. It is very easy to cook for Krishna and to to worship the deity, to offer arti, to sing his glories, to talk about his lotus feet, to talk about his lotus eyes, to talk about his lotus mouth, right? But impersonal, where are these features? Where are these features? Where missing? So the relationship is not established. Very, 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 very troublesome. And that also not a perfection. Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanasya matparaha. Anyeneva yogena mam dhyayate upasate. Tesham aham samudharta mrityu sansara sagarat. Bhavami na chirat partha mai aveshita chetasam. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities onto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pritha, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So, what is my duty in the relationship with Krishna? Is my duty is to just serve Krishna with my mind, body, and words. We have three things: mind, we have body, and we have words. And we can engage each one of those in service of Krishna. Then what is going to happen to my birth, death, old age, disease? Krishna will pick me up. Mrityu sansara sagarat bhavami cha chirat partha. Na cha chirat partha. Na chirat partha. Which means that I become the deliverer. Tesham aham samudharta. I deliver. I personally take care of it. That person doesn't have to struggle anymore. I will bring that person out of this material ocean of science and sufferings. Prabhupada said we all are looking for every living entity, no, not only in human life, but in every form of life, um, is looking for is actually looking for release from some sort of a bondage. That's what Prabhupada says. He says everybody feels that they are bound by something, some situation, something or the other is binding, and everybody is struggling for the freedom. But we cannot succeed in that. Ultimate success depends on Krishna, and how will Krishna grant me that success? If I establish my relationship with him. And how do we establish relationship with Krishna? By working for him, not by sitting idle, working. Now this is very nice. This starts the progressive stages of bhakti. Vibha, may I request you to chant?
Yes, Mataji. मयि एव मना अद्धस्त्वा मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवशिष्यसि मयि एव अथ ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः.
Very nice, thank you. This is the first stage, which is the most perfect stage. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, mind, fix the mind on what? Supreme Personality. Not saying supreme energy or supreme power. No, supreme energetic and supreme powerful. A person, personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus, you will live in me always, without a doubt. You see, no matter what situation one is in, it is very easy to do. We don't have to go anywhere. Just the mind is sitting inside the body, engage that mind. My dear mind, you are very nice. You have you have so many objects of meditation right now in the world. Why don't you make Krishna as an object of meditation now? Why don't you help me in serving Krishna? We can have a dialogue with the mind like that. This is called internal dialogue, introspection. Each one of us has to do it. And this is called as Ananya Bhakti or pure Bhakti or Ragatmika Bhakti. This is spontaneous devotional service. Spontaneously, one is attracted to Krishna. Like all these friends of Krishna, they did not have to work and undergo Vedic rituals or any purificatory processes to love Krishna. No, they were naturally in love with Krishna. They could not live without Krishna. They're having lunch here, right? This scene is described so nicely. They put Krishna in the center and they all surround Krishna. And it looks like it's like a lotus flower where Krishna is in the center and all the gopas are petals. And they all are having conversation with Krishna, and Krishna is also enjoying. Prabhupada said this is the ultimate position of a living entity. Prabhupada said we all can have this leverage. Each one of us can sit like this with Krishna, and they all look happy. They are all decorating themselves with the flowers they picked up from the forest when they are playing. When they get tired, they sit down and eat with Krishna. And then in the evening, they come back to their homes and talk about Krishna to their parents and family. Then their parents put them to sleep in the night. There is no night only, but then the parents put them, and the boys, they sleep and they get up. Why they get up? What is the reason to get up? To be with Krishna once again. Krishna is the object of their love. Krishna is the only reason why they're living. And Krishna is also reciprocating that way. This is the relationship a living entity has, but we cannot fake it. We cannot just say, oh, I am Gopa, I am friend of. No, no, no. This is spontaneous. We cannot fake it. But if we cannot be established in Ananya Bhakti, then do what? Don't get discouraged. Another thing. Atha chittam samadhuttam na sanknoshi mai sthiram abhyasa yoge na tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, you will develop a desire to attain to me. So if we cannot fix the mind in Krishna because we are not situated, or my mind is not saturated with love for Krishna, then how can I get there? Follow the regulated principles. And this is called Vidhi Bhakti or Sadhana Bhakti. And that is the reason I am getting few emails from some of you asking why 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra. Well, 16 rounds is the regulation. It's a discipline. You know, if somebody has joined a military force, they have to undergo training in a very disciplinary manner to become a very good soldier or be a very good military man, right? They just can't, just because they have entered the military base, they are now very good soldier. No. To get to the platform of becoming a very efficient soldier, one has to undergo disciplinary actions. Not like punishment, but discipline. A certain type of a discipline has to be followed. Get up at this time, exercise for this many things, and in exercise also there are different strategies, different levels, right? Or do this, eat only this much amount of food, eat only these many things. So many things are there. So you think Krishna consciousness is so cheap? No, it is not cheap. One has to follow sadhana bhakti, and that is why acharyas have spent so much time, given us so much scriptures, knowledge how we can engage. 24 hours, our day should be packed with Krishna consciousness. And 16 rounds chanting is one of the disciplines one is to follow in sadhana bhakti. When practicing sadhana bhakti, one gets established in ananya bhakti or ragatmika bhakti, then those rules and regulations are not so much needed. But right now it is needed. It's a need. Offer food to Krishna, cook for Krishna, offer arti to Krishna at regulated times, sing in front of the deities, dance over there. This discipline is so much full of fun, actually. But if somebody can't do that also, then what? Krishna accommodates that person also. Abhyase api asamartho asi. Mat karma paramo bhava madartham api karmani. Kurvam sindhim avapyasisi. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Krishna is so accommodative. He wants to claim us, but not in a way of force. You're giving option. You have option to be established directly in spontaneous love for me. But if you're not there, then follow the regulations of the Bhakti and you will get there. Oh, but if following the regulation is also a problem, then do one thing, work. So using senses is better, right, than just sitting idle. Work for Krishna. Where cooking is going on in every house. So work for Krishna means simply cook for Krishna. Offer to him and eat it. Eating is not prohibited, right? Only the consciousness behind the eating has to be changed. And the object of enjoyment, who's going to enjoy it first, that thing has to be changed. It shouldn't be so difficult. If somebody has a talent to make temple for Krishna, engage that talent. But by just following that talent, their own inclination to serve Krishna in this particular manner, they will develop taste for sadhana bhakti. But if somebody can do, this is called Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam Karma Yoga means a person is performing the work, but is not dependent on the result of the work. is actually just working for Krishna, very, very aware of the fact that Krishna is the object of this enjoyment, and whatever Krishna will give me, that's fine. But if somebody, this is another, yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad johoshi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kanteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, and all that you offer and give away, as well as austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. So Krishna says, Krishna is not saying don't do anything, sit down idle, or do something which is harmful for anyone else. No. He's saying, do all that you do it for me. So if I am doing for Krishna, I need to know what Krishna likes, what activity. Krishna does not like even if a small ant is harmed. Why? Because that ant also belongs to Krishna. A devotee of Krishna will never harm anybody. You know, Gitanagari, we have cows, one of the farm communities of ISKCON in Western world. About 70 some cows are there. The farm is divided into sections. One section is for the milking mothers with their babies. They stay together. And one section is for the retired herd, retired cows, cows which are no more giving milk. They are enjoying their retirement in this section. And one section is for the active oxen who are actively serving in agriculture. And one section is for the retired oxen who are old and have already done their service to the deities. Now they are enjoying there in the dham. Not that, but the same kind of farm, if it is in the house of a non-devotee, then what do? I have seen it, that they take care of the cows until the time that they are being milked. They are giving the milk. The minute they stop giving milk, the cows are sent to the slaughterhouse. That is a non-devotee. You know, exploitation. But a devotee protects the property of Krishna. Why? This particular animal belongs to Krishna. Let me take care of this particular living entity as a servant of Krishna. That is a devotee. Okay, so we have to be very, very aware of what Krishna likes. Not that what I like will what Krishna will like. No, that is called Upadharma. Upadharma means using the religion as an excuse or a leverage to satisfy one's own desires. That is Upadharma. But we do Paradharma, using following the scriptures for the satisfaction of Krishna. There's a subtle difference, and some people get convinced also. You know, all this exploitation that's going on in the world on the name of religion is actually Upadharma. No religion will ever say harm anybody else. No, Krishna will take, Krishna will have to answer to Krishna one day, why did I kill this living entity? What was the need? Okay, so the devotee is very, very compassionate. Karuna, the Vaishnava is a Karuna Sindhu. Sindhu is an ocean, and Karuna is mercy. So a real Vaishnava is Karuna Sindhu. That's another name for a Vaishnava. Means an ocean of compassion for everyone. Then there is another word, Paradukha Dukhi. A Vaishnava can really understand the suffering of another living entity. Okay, Ethat. Now if someone can do Nishkam Karma Yoga also, then what? Ethat api asakto ashi kartu mad yoga mashritaha. Sarva karma phalam tyagam tatha kuru yatatmavan. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness, then try to act, giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. So that is called Sakam Karma. Means somebody's working, but the consciousness behind the work is that I want to be the enjoyer of this work, the result of this work. Krishna says, fine, you want to be the enjoyer, but give me something out of it. Give me the result, give me. Like I think I gave example in Cycle of Sacrifice in chapter 3, when I gave example of a farmer who's tilling the field, but he's thinking that I will till this field, I will get good grains, and grains means a lot of profit. Okay, fine, but you're going to cook in your own house, right? So at least offer it to Krishna first. Or whatever money you're going to get, at least buy flowers for Krishna's worship, put it in your altar. Krishna consciousness is so simple for the simple. Prabhupada said simple for the simple, difficult for the difficult. Can't accept. Well, good luck. Okay, if somebody can't do that also, then what? Krishna accommodates then also. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasach, jnanad dhyanam vishishyate, dhyanat karma phala tyagas, tyagas shantir anantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. But better than knowledge is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Okay, so what is he's saying that cultivate knowledge or jnana. But better than jnana is vijnana, or the goal of knowledge is to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is better. That's you do the somebody does a meditation. However, better than sitting idly and meditating, it's better to just renounce the fruits of your action. So he's accommodating. So again, what is the hierarchy? First is Ananya Bhakti. Engage your mind always in worshipping me. Always. Not only in the morning, not only in the evening. But if somebody's mind is so disturbed, there are so many other objects of meditation, then okay, then practice. That's called sadhana bhakti. Practice following the regulative principles of the scriptures. Because by following such regulative principles, one will develop a desire to attain Krishna. Okay, but if somebody can't do that also, then Krishna says, do Nishkam Karma Yoga, work for me. But if somebody can't do that also, then okay, you work for yourself, but give me something out of your result. That's called Sakam Karma. But if somebody can't do that also, then okay, cultivate the knowledge, at least theoretically cultivate the knowledge. However, better than the knowledge is meditation, and better than the meditation is renunciation of the fruits. Krishna is so available. He's so available. We are the one closing our doors. He's the one who's trying to enter even from a corner of a door. Allow him, please. Allow Krishna to enter in your life. No one is a loser ever. Please, whatever you're doing, continue to do, but add Krishna in your life. If you can't give up what you're doing, it's fine. But just put one plus sign in your life and put Krishna there. And the life will be glorious, celebrated, and no one will lose anything. I don't know anybody who lost anything by becoming Krishna conscious. So much gain, so much peace, so esoteric, so much internal happiness. Okay, now Krishna is going to tell about some of the qualities that endear him, the qualities that he appreciates in his devotees. One who is not envious, but is kind friend to all living entities. All living entities, not just human beings. Every single living entity is very, very dear to a devotee, because the devotee understands that this is the property of my Lord. Prabhupada said, if you love me, you should love my dog also. You know, is a big minister, and we say, okay, we love you, minister. Then we have to love his dog also, take care of his dog also. Like that, we have to take care of the living entities also. If somebody says and claims to be a lover of God, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego. He is equal both in happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always self-satisfied, self-controlled, engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So Krishna is saying that this quality is what I want. Krishna actually decorates a devotee with such qualities. But the devotee is not necessarily, hunting for these qualities. But Krishna decorates. This is Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami is the chief of 6 Goswamis. And he was very knowledgeable. But when he took to Krishna consciousness, he gave up all his riches, all his post, like it was a piece of stool. Sorry, but that's how scriptures describe it. He gave up. Why was he able to give up? Why was he able to become a mendicant? Because he had so much love for Krishna in his heart. And one book we read by Sanatan Goswami, we become Krishna conscious, such potency. He for whom no one is put into difficulty, who is not disturbed by anxiety, who is steady in happiness and distress, is very dear to me. This is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is a topmost Vaishnava. We worship Lord Shiva for his devotion to Krishna. He's Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu, very, very exalted devotee of Krishna. We can't understand his devotion. If he becomes merciful on us, and maybe because of his mercy, we might be able to understand what Krishna consciousness is. But he instructs Krishna consciousness so many times in Srimad Bhagavatam. He appears in fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and also comes in eighth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And also there's a mention, a little bit mention is sixth canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So this painting is from sixth canto Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Shiva was instructing the glories of Krishna to his wife, but because he was speaking, all the exalted personalities wanted to hear him. So Narad Muni came, Vyasdev came, all the very exalted saintly people came to relish what Lord Shiva was saying. And they were all self-realized. So Mother Sati was sitting in the lap of her husband. But no one was objecting it because everybody is self-realized there. The assembly is so nice. But this king passes by, Chitraketu. Chitraketu passes by and sees Chitraketu is also a pure devotee. He also came to hear Lord Shiva's glorification of Krishna. But when he looked at the scene, that how nicely Mother Sati is taken care of by her husband, he smiles. But Mother Sati feels offended, so she curses him. So this is that scene. Anyway, but he's our Acharya, Lord Shiva, because he can direct and give Krishna consciousness. A devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, who does not strive for some result, is very dear to me. Not dependent. So once Krishna, whose Krishna consciousness is not dependent on something outside of them. Okay, today my mood is not there to chant Hare Krishna, I'm not going to chant. That means this person's Krishna consciousness is dependent on the mood of the mind. No, no, no. Krishna consciousness is the activity of the soul. One can chant Hare Krishna in any situation of life if they want to. But we have to be very, very determined. That is called Hridaya Vrata, determination which is firm and fixed. Who does not care and free from all pains. This is a very exalted stage, free from all pains. Prahlad Maharaj is an example. Haridas Thakur was beaten up in 21 marketplaces, but he could not stop chanting Hare Krishna. He was beaten up. Why? Because with a whip on a bare skin. Why was he beaten up? Because he was chanting Hare Krishna. But he could not give up. One who neither grasps pleasure or grief, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things is very dear to me. So one whose consciousness is not dependent on pleasure or grief of this world. This is a very high stage. We can pray to Krishna, pray to acharyas, pray to the devotees to bring us there. This is a goal, but Prabhupada has forbidden us to copy. That's called Sahajiya Bhakta. Dress and talk and smell like that, but in the heart there are so many griefs, so many desires, so many lamentations, so many hankerings, so many perversions. So what this is auspicious, Bhadra, this is inauspicious, Abhadra. No, no, no. Because Krishna is sitting in the heart. We can't cheat him. We need to understand that. But that person who has conquered all these things is very dear to Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj had all these qualities. He was not necessarily hunting. Oh, now I have conquered pleasure. Now I've conquered grief. Now I have become equal to both auspicious and inauspicious things. He was not. What was he doing? He was very busy in thinking about Krishna. Very, very busy in serving Krishna, remembering Krishna. That's all. One who is equal to friends and enemies. This is very hard, huh? Very equal to friends and enemies. Who is equipoise in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy. Who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything. Who doesn't care for any residence. Who is fixed in knowledge, engaged in devotional service, is very dear to me. These are all qualities of Lord Shiva. That Vaishnava comes to my mind. He's equal to friends and enemies, equipoise in honor and dishonor. He was dishonored by Daksha. Daksha dishonored Lord Shiva. He did not retaliate. He just got up and went away, not because he was insulted, because he wanted to stop Daksha from cursing any further a devotee of Vishnu. So for Daksha's benefit, Lord Shiva left the assembly of Daksha. Okay, heat and cold, happiness. So he's always sitting. He doesn't even have proper dress. But he's equipoise, heat and cold, happiness and distress. His wife died. Sati gave up her body because her husband was insulted in her father's house. He got angry, but the anger is described there that he got angry not because his wife left her body, but because a Vaishnavi, a devotee of Krishna, was insulted. Mother Sati is also a devotee, equal in fame and infamy, always free from contamination, always sad. So he's always living in cremation grounds, but he's not affected by it. He's very merciful on all these bhutas and ghosts, always silent and satisfied with anything. He can give such nice, luxurious benedictions to people who surrender to him for that purpose, but he himself has no fixed residence. So much detached. Why? Because he's very attached to Krishna. He's always meditating on Sankarshan Brahma Krishna, and he's so dear to us. We love Lord Shiva. In Krishna consciousness, Lord Shiva's name comes first. And this is another devotee, Ambrish Maharaj. Ambrish Maharaj was a pure devotee of Krishna. And one day it was Ekadashi. So Durvasa Muni, this particular person, Durvasa Muni, was very, very envious of Ambrish Maharaj. Why? Because Ambrish Maharaj was not only very powerful king, but also a devotee of Krishna. So he was celebrated and his kingdom was flourishing. So this person unnecessarily became envious. So he was always looking for ways to insult Ambrish Maharaj. So one day it was Ekadashi, and then it was Dwadashi, the next day. So this Durvasa Muni came to Ambrish Maharaj's kingdom in the morning before Parayana time. The Ekadashi fast has to be broken in certain time. If one is not breaking, if not Parayana is not done, then Ekadashi has to be continued, even though it's Dwadashi. So he came on Dwadashi day and he said, Maharaj welcomed him, Amrish Maharaj. He said, Maharaj said, okay, Maharaj, please, Amrish Maharaj told Durvasa Muni, please come and honor the prasadam. Durvasa Muni said, yes, I will honor. Let me go and do my morning duties. Let me take bath and I will come. So he went and he was taking so long, but from his yogic power, he was making sure that he was observing what Amrish Maharaj is going to do about his Ekadashi Vrata. It is an etiquette that a person who is invited guest has to eat first. So he was the Parayan time was going. So Amrish Maharaj consulted the Vaishnavas in his kingdom. What should I do? Because Durvasa Muni is not back yet, and my Parayan time is going. So they advised Amrish Maharaj, you keep Nirjal Ekadashi always. You don't even drink a drop of water. So why don't you take some water, a drop of water? That way you have not taken any grain and your fast is also considered complete. So Amrish Maharaj took a drop of water. Durvasa Muni saw that he's doing it. Immediately he ran to the king's arena and said that you claim yourself to be a very good king. See, you don't know the basic etiquettes that a person who has come to your home has to be honored first before you take grain. But he did not take grain. Simply he is trying to find fault. So he takes out a hair from his head and he makes this demon to kill Amrish Maharaj. Amrish Maharaj is very busy now in praying to Krishna. And then what happens? Krishna sends his Sudarshan Chakra to chop off the head of this Muni. Then this Muni is so powerful, he goes to Lord Shiva and prays that please save me. Sudarshan Chakra is chasing me. And Lord Shiva says, this is Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra, I can't do anything. Then he's so powerful, he goes to Lord Brahma. He says, please save me. Sudarshan Chakra is chasing me. Lord Brahma says the same thing. He says, if you can go to Vishnu, he might be able to do something. I can't do anything. So he goes to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu says, I also can't do anything. You have to beg forgiveness from this Vaishnava. If my devotee will forgive you, then I might retrieve my Sudarshan Chakra. Otherwise, you have to die because you have done a Vaishnava offense. So then he comes back and he falls down at the lotus feet of Amrish Maharaj and begs forgiveness. Now, Amrish Maharaj has not taken any offense only. He says, Maharaj, that's okay. And Krishna retrieves his Sudarshan Chakra. That is the power of a pure devotee. Pure devotional service is powerful. Krishna becomes attracted. He who follows this path of imperishable, he who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very, very dear to me. What a glorified life, huh? Somebody becomes dear to Krishna. So he who is following this imperishable path of devotional service and completely engages with faith, not because somebody else was doing it, not because it is a hearsay, not because it is a ritual in my family. Krishna is my family deity. No, no, and no. One has to cultivate their own reason. What is my reason? That is why Bhakti Yoga is also called as Buddhi Yoga, using one's own intelligence. One has to worship Krishna. Then only the determination to worship Krishna will be Dridhavrata, firm determination. Otherwise, that determination is depending on Krishna being the family deity, Krishna being any service is okay. I'm not criticizing. But if has to develop very, very fixed devotional service, then one has to have their own reason. That Krishna, I'm surrendering to you because I am completely convinced of the fact that I am your part and parcel. Okay, that's what Krishna wants. This is Bilva Mangal Thakur. Bilva Mangal Thakur was on a Bhava Bhakti platform in his last birth, but somehow he couldn't complete. Remember, I said there are 9 stages of bhakti. So Bilva Mangal Thakur, then he was born in a Vaishnava family, Brahmin family. So he was already engaged in the worship of Krishna from his birth, but somehow he was very attached to his girlfriend prostitute. So one day it was raining very hard. There was a storm, very dark. So this girl, she thought that Bilva Mangala is now going to come today. So she closed the door, turned off the lamp, and went to take rest. But after some time, there was a knock on the door in the middle of the night, stormy night. She opened the door, and there was Bilva Mangala on the door. She asked him, "How did you get here? These conditions are not conducive for travel. How did you get here?" He explains her that how he quickly performed the Shraddha ceremony of his father, and then he ran. And then there was this big river, and it was raining and thunderbolt and lightning. And I was swimming in the river. I captured a dead body to cross over the river. Then there was a dense forest. I ran in the forest, and then I had to climb up your wall. There was a big snake, and I captured the tail of the snake as a rope and climbed the wall to come to see you. She said, "Oh, so much trouble if you take for Krishna, your life will be so glorified." Immediately, when he heard this from her, immediately he got transformed. Now, there is a reason why immediately he got transformed because Mangala had a spiritual master in the previous birth, previous life. So, that is a relationship between a disciple and a spiritual master. Spiritual master does not leave the disciple unless and until the disciple actually goes to the lotus feet of Krishna. So the spiritual master was speaking through this prostitute. Because the words were so potent, it actually it ingrained in his heart that yes, I have to do it for Krishna. Immediately he left and he wanted to go for Vrindavan. But when he was traveling to Vrindavan, he saw a very beautiful young lady and he again started following her. You know, when somebody starts Krishna consciousness, not that everything comes to end at once. It's like a fan, you know, somebody turns off a fan, Prabhupada explains, not that immediately the fan is turned off. It slows down in the speed and then it is turned off. Like that, even though his proclivity to commit further sin was stopped because of his determination to surrender to Krishna, but whatever momentum was there was still acting up here and there. So he started following this lady now. He's dressed in a dress of a sannyasi, a renunciant, but he's following this lady. So he follows her, and then she is married. So she goes inside her house, and the husband is sitting outside the house. So he stands outside the house. The husband comes and says, "Babaji, can I help you?" Very saintly man. He said, "Yes, I want to see that lady." So definition of a chaste woman is that she's not going to see any other man other than her husband. So the husband goes and tells his wife, "Come outside and see this Babaji. He wants to see you." So she follows the order of her saintly husband. And then Bilva Mangala now called this woman as mother. Says, Mother, do you have a hairpin? You know, the pin that some ladies put in the hair? So she gives him, Can you give me one hairpin? So she gives it to him. He takes the hairpin and he pokes his eyes to become blind. He said, I was on the way to become, to fully realize my Krishna consciousness, but because of these eyes, I became attracted. Now I want to be blind. Not that we should do that. We should become handless, legless, or tongueless. That is why there's a difference between following and taking shelter and copying. So we follow, we can pray to Bilva Mangal Thakur. So Bilva Mangal Thakur became blind and then he completely meditated on Krishna. That is how his name came as Thakur. And Bilva Mangal Thakur is one of our acharyas and he was singing for Krishna. Then he got promoted to Prema Bhakti stage and Krishna was himself coming every day to hear what is he singing. Okay, so this is the chapter Bhakti over impersonalism. Which is better? Arjuna asks. Which is better, Krishna? Krishna answers, Mai aveshya mano ye mam. That my devotional service to my personal form is better than impersonal realization. Then Krishna shows his accommodation, how he is waiting for us. Progressive stages of devotion. If you can't do Ananya Bhakti, do Sadhana Bhakti. If you can't do Sadhana Bhakti, do Nishkam Karma Yoga. If you can't do Nishkam Karma Yoga, do Sakam Karma. If you can't do that, also cultivate Jnana. If you can't cultivate higher than Jnana is meditation, but renunciation of fruits of action is the highest. And then Krishna explains the qualities that endear him, that attracts Krishna also. Now, we can also serve Krishna. We have an opportunity right here. And I'm going to present to you the opportunity that ISKCON Mangalore is offering to each one of us to serve Krishna. So we are actually, Ramesh Prabhu has asked me to present this to each one of you and appeal that we are going to build a temple for Radha Govinda. We don't have a temple. They are situated in a rental house right now. ISKCON is a worldwide organization. Prabhupada established Krishna consciousness in every nook and corner of the world. Prabhupada used to have a globe. Okay, and he used to, just look at the globe. This country, Krishna's consciousness center established. This country, this is how he used to think. He did not limit or lock Krishna up here and there. That is why we have the leverage of associating with devotees across the world. You go across the world, you will meet somebody who is Hare Krishna from wherever they are. This is America. This is Prabhupada's Palace of Gold in West Virginia, USA. I have been here. I have lived here. This was made by devotees. They made, no outside worker was called. They put each and everything together. And this is all real photos. It's all Prabhupada's. The marble is cut and is placed and it's heated. The floors are heated so that when Prabhupada would walk, Prabhupada's lotus feet should not feel cold because marble is cold. So the marble has heat inside. Okay, and this is Bhaktivedanta Manor in United Kingdom. Prabhupada established Londoneshwara, who's enjoying the services over there. This is Ukraine, Russia. This is called Bhakti Sangam Festival. 8,000 to 10,000 people assembled to sing the holy name. Yeah, Russia is a communist country. We were having some problem in getting establishing a temple, but now Krishna's mercy, there's going to be a temple in Russia too. So devotees can associate with each other, worship the deity, and relish Krishna consciousness. So beautiful. They're all from Russia. And this is in South Africa, Durban. All the devotees there. This is the temple. I know one devotee who is from South Africa right now living in Hidanagri, Pennsylvania. And she was telling me that the dress that these deities are wearing, the local ladies of the community, they stitch these dresses. And each and every dress is very, very intricately embroidered. So the deities over there are enjoying the embroidered dresses. Very nice. This is Mayapur, which is the head office of ISKCON. The temple is coming up, biggest temple, second biggest to the Roman Catholic Church. This is going to be the second biggest temple in the world. This is called Temple of Vedic Planetarium. and right there in India, in Mayapur, Bengal, under construction for worshipping of Panchatattva and Radha Madhav and Narsimhadev. They will be the worshipped objects of worship over there. This is Vrindavan. Many of you might know Krishna Balram, Raman Reti. Prabhupada made this temple. So anywhere in the world we can go, we will associate. This is in Juhu, Mumbai, Ras Bihari Mandir. Prabhupada made this temple too, established Ras Bihari Ji there. And this is in Chennai, Akarai Chennai temple. Chennai has so many temples. Chennai is such a nice congregation. Very, very advanced devotees. And Tirupati also is enjoying the Radha Krishna worship and the hills. This is Bharatpuri Ujjain. Very, very beautiful temple. This temple is very famous in the whole world for their craftsmanship. They supply temples to all over the world. But the association is so famous. They also do world Sankirtan. Juhu does it. Sorry. Juhu does Nam Yagna every year. This year was not done, but January every year, where people come from all over the world to sing together. We need a platform. We need a place. This is Pune Temple, and this is New Delhi. I have this. I'm from Delhi, so I've seen this. This is Lord Rama, Santanagar in Greater Kailash. And this is Noida Temple. It recently was made few years ago, but very, very beautiful. Because when we go to the temple, we will it will be easier for us to find the devotees under one roof. That is why we also want to make a temple for Sri Sri Radha Govinda. By Krishna's mercy, we have purchased the land. 1.5 acres of land has been sanctioned. We still have to pay for it, but it's been sanctioned so that everyone from everywhere in the world can come and worship the Lord of our heart. So this is just an appeal that any one of you can opt to serve Krishna in any way. You know how Krishna is accommodating? Like that, the services of Krishna are also accommodative. And I will go over them. This is the rough design of what the temple will look like in Mangalore for Radha Govinda. So someone can become Mahamukhya Dharmadhikari Seva. Someone can offer that, where they can offer 4 cents of land, which is equal to 1,742.4 square feet for temple construction. And their name will be there in front of Radha Govinda for forever on the spiritual wall. And they will be able to participate in Pratisthapana Yagna, when the foundation will be laid, and there will be VIP passes for all big events, and there'll be free ISKCON membership as a gift. And the proposed amount for this seva is 10,80,000 rupees, and can be paid in 3 installments over 3 years without interest. Mandir Nirman Seva. Then there's another one that Ramanish Prabhu said, Mukhya Dharmadhikari Seva, where we can offer 2 cents of land for Krishna's. It's a 1.5 acre land, but it's a chance for me to become more Krishna conscious, right? So they also can participate in Pratisthapana Yagna, and name will be there on the wall of spiritual fame in front of Radha Govinda, and they will be given VIP passes because the temple is going to be so big, so there'll be so many devotees. So, but a devotee who has served Krishna once in their life like that, forever will be allowed to take darshan of the deities from more close-up view, and they will also get the free membership. And the proposed amount is 5,40,000 rupees, which can be paid in 3 installments. Then is Dharmadhikari Seva, where the name will also be in the spiritual fame wall, and they can also take part in the Pratisthapana Yagna, and they will also get the VIP passes for every function, and will also get free membership of ISKCON. And the proposed amount is 2,70,000 rupees. ISKCON Radha Govinda Dharma Karta Seva. Somebody can sponsor Dharma Karta Seva is that the name will be there in spiritual fame wall. Participation will be welcomed in Pratisthapana Yagna, VIP passes for every single function, important function. And that person will also get free membership, and the proposed amount is 1,08,000 rupees. Then if someone can do that, then they can sponsor a square feet, like 1 brick. or 1 square feet is 5,000 rupees, 2 square feet is 10,000, 5 square feet is 25,000, 10 square feet is 50,000 for Krishna's pleasure. No one has personal account in Mangalore ISKCON. Nobody. All brahmacharis live there. Nobody has personal bank account. I know them for almost January 2021 will be 19 years of my association with that temple. If someone can't do that also, then they can sponsor a brick. One brick is 1,500 rupees, 2 bricks 3,000, 5 bricks 7,500, 10 bricks 15,000. What happens when we do something for Krishna's worship? And worship has to be done in a bona fide manner. Then we actually advance in our own spiritual journey. This thing will be done, even if I do it or I don't do it. It will be done. But why not become Nimitta Matram Bhavya Savya Sachin? Just become an instrument. And these are the details. I'll be sharing all these things in the WhatsApp groups. And if someone can't do that, they can just directly offer life membership program. I am a life member. So life membership is something that the person gets following benefits. That international life patron identity card with patron's photo. Then the valid member and all his dependents with the card. That card will be honored in every single ISKCON center around the world, across the world. We can go with that card, and we are eligible to have 3 days free accommodation in that temple guest house once a year. So if I want to go and live in Europe, European ISKCON guest house temple like or Bhaktivedanta Manor in London, I can stay there for free for 3 days. But I have to make reservation in advance. But it is eligible, and this donation, all these donations are tax exempt. Every single one that I said under Section 80G of Income Tax Act 1961. Every single one is a tax exempt donation. And the life membership amount is 35,555. And 1 second. I do have a very special guest today, so please don't leave. I do want you to take advantage of his association. This also can be paid over installment in 1 year. But if somebody can't do that also, then they can worship Krishna as Nitya Rajbhog Seva, 500 rupees for a day worship. Nitya Sarva Seva, whole day service for 1,000 rupees. Nitya Dhupa Seva is 1 month for Dhupa worship for rupees 2,000. Nitya Shir Nevedyam Seva, monthly for 5,000. Nitya Pushpa Alankar Seva for 10,000. Or we can serve one-time Seva for these Pushpa Alankar Seva, Kshira Nevedya Seva. Okay, so these are all donation links. Please feel free to ask me directly about these. Because it needs to be transferred in a particular manner. Okay, thank you so much. I have a very special guest today, Prasanna Prabhu. That is you, right? Prasanna
Yes,
Prabhu,
I joined. Yes, yes.
Krishna. So I want to welcome Dr. Prasanna Tadi. He is the president of Bhaktivedanta Medical Association. We have a Bhaktivedanta Medical Association in North America, where all the medical people in ISKCON come together, doctors, nurses, occupational therapists, pharmacy, optometrists, and we try to have a Sangha. So he's the president, and he is himself a very, very knowledgeable physician. I know him for 5-6 years now. He is a neurologist practicing in America, and he specializes in vascular neurology or stroke. So I wanted to invite him, and he's a very nice devotee of Krishna. He's very, very exalted, very nice. Let's hear from him. But feel free to ask question to him after you hear him. Prabhu, are you able to turn on your camera?
Yes, yes, I can. Yes.
Okay. So he lives with his wife and little daughter. She's COVID. We were talking yesterday that how difficult it has become in this. Prabhu, I'm going to put the spotlight on you. I still don't see your Are they
Yeah,
able-
I can see you, and
I'm gonna remove
I
my.
turned on my camera just now.
Yes, Prabhu. Please go ahead and please share your vices.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I was, I did my medical school in India, and then I came here and did a neurology residency in Brown University, and then stroke fellowship. Now I am the program director for stroke program, and also director of the wellness. But during this journey, I came in association with the Srila Prabhupada books, and eventually started following, the principles. And after that, I became a devotee. It's a beautiful journey. I did a small TED Talk presentation about my journey in ISKCON. So if you get a chance, see that video. But I'm here to answer any of your questions. Please, let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, if you want to ask him any question, you can raise your hand and feel free to ask him about his journey in Krishna consciousness. It's not so common to have association of devotees who are so knowledgeable both in spiritual and material field. It's not so. Don't take it for granted. This opportunity. Usha Parekh Mataji, yes Mataji. Please unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is, at what stage of your life, or what was the turning point in your life that you thought that Krishna consciousness and surrendering to Krishna is a must?
I born in a very, typical Hindu family, but from childhood, I was always curious about science behind everything we do. But after I left India and I was here studying, at that time I became a devotee in New York City. So given a chance, I will do sooner the better. I was clueless and seeking for meaning in life and everything. So the turning point for me is while I was a student here in US. That's where I met devotees and it changed my life. But if I want to do it again, I wish, my only wish is to meet devotees early and try to follow this Srila Prabhupada's principles and follow the ISKCON principles sooner. It's a life-changing moment. And also after that, after my marriage, my wife is not a devotee initially, but in few years after seeing me how I am doing things, she became a devotee also. Thank you for asking that question.
So it was an association, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else would like to ask anything to Prabhu? How do we, there's a question in the chat, Prabhu. Let me read it out to you. Hare Krishna, how do we relate Krishna consciousness to our daily personal and professional lives?
That's a great question. How to, because it's one of the most commonly asked questions. The most important thing is A, B, C, D, having association, reading books, and C, chanting. Chanting is very important. D, for devotion. he is eating sattvic food. So rather than preaching even our family members or outside people, it's by behavior. After becoming devotee, after following principles of Gita, how we changed as a person, that is very, very important. And also by following these principles, especially the whole coronavirus was started in China because of meat eating, right? If there is no meat eating or killing animals, there is no coronavirus. So there are, in that way, there are so many examples of our core principles: no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. And on top of the chant every day. So by doing this, we can eradicate so many personal societal problems. So yeah, following these principles and treat everybody nicely. In that way, both our personal and professional life gets better, and we can accomplish more.
Very nice. Anybody else has any question for Prasannatma Prabhu? Shiva Kumar Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji, you can unmute.
Good afternoon, Prabhuji. Good afternoon. Namaskaram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My question is, Prabhuji, in puja room, I will be chanting 108 mantras, 108 rounds, Hare Krishna mantra. So while walking in the park also, can I chant?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, you can chant anywhere and everywhere. The more, the better.
But
so
I will be
actually,
putting,
bhakti, yes.
I will be putting slippers and all. So
Yeah,
I have
that's
to.
fine.
There's no problem.
That's the beauty of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Is previously for other mantras there are so many rules. You have to chant this in the morning. You have to chant this before 6 a.m. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra you can chant anytime, anywhere.
Okay, while doing kitchen
no
work,
restrictions.
While doing kitchen work, cleaning work at that time and all, I can chant.
Yes, yes, you can chant.
And the second question is, I am feeding dogs and pigeon. Whether any clash is there in feeding animals while chant Hare Krishna while chanting?
No, you can feed. It's a good thing. You are feeding to these creatures. That is beautiful.
Okay,
And a treat, showing that love and compassion. But as Shastras, you are doing great thing. That's great.
No, because while chanting itself, I'll feed. So whether there is any untouchability, I'm asking from animals.
No.
Okay.
But are you feeding meat? That's my question to you. Are you feeding meat?
No. I am strict vegetarian. Sattvic.
Okay.
Only more curd rice and milk rice.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Simmi Mataji. Then Prabhu, I have 2 more questions in the chat. Simmi Mataji, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You just mentioned that after you went to the West, after you went to the USA, you got into Krishna consciousness. So I want to ask you this question. It's a determination of oneself, because see, you're doing medicine and you were studying, so there was so much to study and going into a different country. So in all that difficulties also, you managed to take time off. It is mainly a determination of oneself to get into this, rather than just reading the books of all this. I feel it is purely. And you mentioned that when you were young also you were into spiritualism, right? You were devoted to.
Yeah, when I was young, I was like everybody. And after that, honestly, like when I came to United States, it's all Western modernized.
Right.
So somebody put in the chat like how your life was changed, right? When I came to United States, I was like eating food in McDonald's and stuff
Right.
like that. So I mean, I was like regular, like anybody. But to answer your question, it's beautiful in Shastras. It says that you need a lot of mercy or lot of good pious karma to come into a beautiful thing like this. Our determination is important, but at the same time, Krishna's mercy is
Yes.
even more important.
Yes.
Out of hundreds and thousands or crores of people, only few gets attracted to this and understand this completely.
Yes, Prabhu.
Uh, so I always say, it's a pious credit by my parents or pious credit I did in previous janmas.
Yes. Yeah, Prabhu.
Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says out of hundreds and thousands of people, only one person can understand me completely. Out of those hundreds and thousands of people who understands me completely, only one can follow my rules and principles. This is a kind of like winning a lottery ticket.
Right.
Coming into this movement or coming, I mean, even approaching the Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavad Gita, understanding Bhagavad Gita. So I think this is all pure Krishna's mercy and Prabhupada's, Prabhupada's compassion.
Yes, Prabhu.
Because
Unless
he, yeah.
wants us, we can't get it. That's what even when I got into this, I hardly knew anything, but I feel it was only by the mercy of the Lord Krishna that I could attend this and I could gain so much knowledge. And I'm getting so much attracted that I wait for this 3 o'clock which Mataji takes, and it is so mesmerizing.
Yeah, if you see our journey also, it's very, very, I mean, or else why I didn't join in ISKCON in India, right? In India,
Yes.
it's the motherland where everything started. But,
Yes.
after coming to US, then, yeah, so it's all Krishna's mercy.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Simmi, no, Susha Kamat Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We are really very fortunate to have you in our midst today. My question is something that has been, we've been debating for a very long time. If a person is suffering physically due to some critical illness, is practicing euthanasia to relieve the person from the suffering permitted? Because there are many people practicing euthanasia medically, legally. So this is a doubt that has been niggling me for a very, very long time. What is your opinion on this?
I mean, it depends on the situation where, I mean, in some countries you do it, some countries you can do it, and it is also depends on the situation. So in US, if we come into the situation like this, we always involves ethics committee. So every hospital has an ethics committee, and we discuss cases, very complicated cases. And in this committee, there will be a physician, there will be a nurse, there will be a lawyer, there will be a priest, there will be everybody. And then we'll discuss and come with a plan. So it depends on the situation.
Yeah, Mataji, there is no straight answer to this question. We cannot give yes or no to it. Okay, it's shady. Where are you? I think sorry. Namrata Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I want to know, when you were introduced to ISKCON, when you started reading books or you started becoming aware, were you ever conflicted in terms of religion and spirituality, in terms of morality and spirituality? Like, were you ever conflicted and confused about it?
I mean, before reading Srila Prabhupada books, definitely I was conflicted. Once you read slowly Srila Prabhupada's books, all the confusions will go away. It's so beautiful. With COVID now, at least in US, we cannot go to any temples. We cannot meet any devotees. We lose that association. Now, I feel like how golden that is. You know, we just take it granted, all the little things. You know, now even if I want to go to temple, I cannot go to temple. So temple is a place at some point in my life, because in US I'm by myself, right? So as a student, I used to go to temple and stay in the temple over the weekends. You know, such a nice people, excellent prasadam. And I used to read books. So I have really, really good experience. I never had any conflicting experience. And also seeing the deities so beautifully, you know, the beautiful ornaments, flowers, scents, and the beauty of the Krishna and Radhe. So I never had any conflict, especially when we read the books. For example, if there is a coronavirus vaccine is coming out, right? It is approved, but 50% of people say we don't want to take vaccine, right? So even in the middle of the pandemic, still people will always have a conflict. That conflict will be resolved only when you go to the base or to the roots by evidence, by reading the literature. In the same way, bhakti also, yes, we have to get the doubts. Srila Prabhupada always used to say, don't follow anything blindly, always question. So everything we do in bhakti, it is purely based on Vedas, and there is a lot of science in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita. So once you read more and more and more, all the doubts will be dissolved, and you know, bliss will remain. But you know, sometimes I face challenges, like I know all this theory, but in real world it's very difficult. Maya is so powerful. So sometimes, you know, especially COVID, it's kind of like a Maya, right? You cannot even leave the house. So in life, challenges may come, but the most important thing, you know, if you take one thing from this call, is never miss the association of devotees. That is the core message. Like Mataji, see, now the time is in US is 5:30, and she is like from maybe 4:30 she is doing this. She is a physician.
Okay.
Why she has to do this? So devotees are always kalpatarus or kamadhenus. So if I wish one thing, I never ever want to miss association of the devotees. With the association of devotees, you can get anything and everything. That is my understanding.
And there is no doubt about that. The more I try, my problem is the more I read, the more I try to read, I have so many questions, and the questions are just non-stop. Like it's so conflicting for me, because I feel like, if I look at it as growing up, there's always this moral science, you know, and I feel like I am not able to, you know, kind of the moral science and the spirituality and the religious side of things. I'm so confused between the three of them. I just don't know, you know, like what to believe at the end. That's my problem. That's my biggest, yeah, the questions don't stop.
So yeah, it's very common. I will say keep reading and keep going, meeting association of the devotees, and slowly it takes years. Nothing is like a switch, right? I saw so many devotees. It takes maybe 5 years, 10 years. Slowly you read, but the faith is very important. So and never missing the association is very important. And every time you have a question, when you go to temple, talk with the senior devotees. Prabhu, I have this question. Can can you please help me or share your wisdom? That's how. Still, I have questions, and I will reach to the senior devotees, about those questions. Sometimes I have question and it is never answered. And when I am reading Bhagavatam, all of a sudden that question will be answered in Srila Prabhupada's purports. I think the most important thing is faith and patience, and it takes years to mature. So that's my long answer for your question.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Karthik Prabhu. Prabhuji, you can... Yes.
Prabhuji. That's what I want to just know, like how we can create Krishna consciousness, spread the Krishna consciousness, because we are all not like Prema Mataji. She is doing in a very huge way, but to our smallest way, like what we can do.
I think the best way is please chant on the beads, and slowly get into the following the principles, achar and prachar. First you have to follow the principles, then you will share the principles to others. So as I said before, it's a long journey. Have a senior devotee as your mentor and talk with your mentor regularly. We call it Siksha Guru. I have a Siksha Guru, I have a Diksha Guru. So Guru means teacher. In this journey, we need a Guru to excel, to progress. So that's what I recommend.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vibha. Prabhu, Vibha is a girl in 8th grade. She's very
great. Excellent.
Yes, Vibha.
Prabhu, earlier there was a question from Shivakumar Prabhu saying that can you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the park? So like if they are doing like walking and stuff, are they allowed to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra?
Absolutely, yes.
Like
You can
won't
chant.
they be like distracted in other stuff and also be chanting over here? Won't that happen?
Yeah, I mean, like the ideal thing is not to get distracted. So that's why in the morning, at the time we wake up, it's that's called Brahma Muhurta, and that is the best time to chant.
Okay.
Because with school, education, work, people are very busy.
Yeah.
We do so many things, right?
Yeah.
This is my favorite sloka. Prahlad and Hiranyakasipu. This sloka, how Prahlad is chanting. Paniyambul taguchun, guduchuchun, bashinchuchun, hasalela nidradulu cheychun, Lakshimpachun, Tiruguchun, Santata Sri Narayana Pada Padma Yugali, Chintamruta Swada Sandanunde, Surari Sutude, Tadviswaman Marichan Bhuvara. Meaning Paniyambul Taguchun, drinking water, walking, Tiruguchun, talking, Bashinchachun, smiling. So whatever he is doing, irrespective, Prahlad, foreground, he's talking, eating, dancing, singing, joking, but in the mind, he is always chanting.
Yes.
He's always chanting the holy name. So that is my short answer. Yes, we can chant anytime and every time. There is no rules. And Prahlad, the greatest devotee, is our example. Or Hanuman, when is he chanting, Hey Rama, 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 Rama? He's chanting 24 hours, 365 days. That's how we should chant.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Sure.
Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Vibha is in 9th grade. Sorry, Vibha. Anvya Mataji and then Nirubama Mataji. Yes, Anvya.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It is so nice you spared your time early in the morning and we are listening to you. So I want to ask you one question regarding your profession. Now we read in many books, saying this mantra has a nad. It is like nad yog. So it has a lot of positive effects, especially on your brain cells. So do you think that this subject is being under extensive research, and can some neurological disorders be, by chanting the mantra? Can see it's not going to get reversed, but can the progress be to some extent slow down to a very large extent, especially like the old people who are suffering from Parkinson's or Alzheimer's? So has the research been done on this, on the effect of mantra on the brain cells, which are getting like aging or whatever? I don't know what medical term you use for it.
Absolutely. There is a lot of research going on, and there is no doubt faith and this mantra vibration will change things. So I saw so many times, even personal example in other people's lives, and even the research, they are doing functional MRIs. When people are chanting, what are the changes happening in the brain? A lot of research is going in bigger institutes like Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and a few other institutions. In many of the Western countries, there is a lot of research going. But the short answer is yes, mantra meditation is very, very, very beneficial for personal, spiritual, emotional, and professional life. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yes, Nirubama Mataji. Sorry, Prabhu, so many questions.
No, that's good. That's good. I really enjoying.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I have two questions. One is, in this hectic life, how can we get absolute happiness? One question. And another one, in every chapter of Gita, we find the word yoga. Arjuna Visada yoga, Sankhya yoga, Bhakti yoga, Karma yoga, Vishwarupa Darshana yoga. Then what is the cause behind it?
So yoga, the definition of yoga is connection to God. Connection. Yoga means connection to God.
Yes.
Arjuna Vishada yoga. So every chapter, the whole Bhagavad Gita, song of God. How do you connect to God? Is through song of God. How do you connect through God? Is through Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How I am connecting with all of you is through Zoom, right?
Yes.
Through this media.
Yes.
So how do we get happiness? Is we have so many problems.
Yes.
Work problem, rent problem, school problem, this problem, so many.
Yes.
But the real happiness comes when like Prahlad. I really love Prahlad. You know, so many calamities, right? Even the father is killing, father is trying to kill the son, the most powerful father. By all these calamities, he is throwing snakes from, he's throwing Prahlad from the hill, you name it. But when you have deep connection, that's where the eternal bliss comes. You know, in this perspective, you know, all Bhishma Dev is in the deathbed, and Arjuna hit Bhishma with arrows throughout the body, and Bhishma is bleeding, and literally he is standing on the arrow. I mean, not standing, lying on the arrows. Imagine if we have a small needle in our feet, what happens? We will cry, shout, and try to stop bleeding. So Bhishma, this is other beautiful, beautiful slokas. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 9th sloka, 9th chapter, ఆలాపంబులు మాని చిత్తంబు మనీషయుత్తమం చూసి దృగ్జాలంబు హరిమోంపై పరిపి తత్కారుణ్య దృష్టిని వినిర్మూలీభూత సర్వద నిచేడై మోదింప భీష్ముడు. So the meaning is, when all this suffering is happening, how Bhishma is getting eternal bliss is he's bleeding from all over the body, but he's smiling with complete happiness when he sees Krishna's face. So to answer your long, long answer is, the real happiness comes when we have faith like Bhishma. No matter what the circumstances, just chant Hare Krishna and do our part best, and leave it to Krishna, and he will come and protect us and give eternal bliss. This happened in my life multiple times. This happened in the lives of so many devotees, Kunti, Arjuna, you name it. So chant Hare Krishna.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You explained nicely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nirma Mataji. Okay, I think we covered all the questions. Prabhuji, I really liked and appreciate the statement that chant the name and the Lord name throughout our life, every moment. Thank you for sharing your beautiful experience. Hare Krishna from